Price. The cowboy gave her something priceless. The sun was slowly sinking behind the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It swirled along the dirt road leading to the little bus stop on the edge of town. Emma stood there, her backpack slung over one shoulder and a small worn suitcase by her feet. She was tired, anxious, and more than a little frustrated. The bus that should have taken her home had left without her. She had checked her watch for the 10th time, hoping she had just misread the schedule, but the empty road confirmed the worst. She was stranded. Emma sighed and hugged her backpack closer. The town around her felt quiet, almost too quiet. The small cluster of buildings, mostly wooden and sun-faded, had that timeless charm, but in this moment it made her feel even lonelier. She had been traveling all day, hoping to reach her grandmother's house before nightfall. Her grandmother lived on a farm several miles outside of town, and Emma had been looking forward to the trip for weeks. But now, with no bus and no rides in sight, she felt panic creeping in. She kicked at a small rock, watching it tumble down the dusty road. "What am I going to do now?" she muttered to herself. The wind whispered through the tall grass, carrying the faint scent of horses and earth. Emma looked around, hoping to see a familiar face or maybe a car passing by. But the road remained empty. She thought about calling someone, anyone, but her phone had barely any signal and she had already used up most of her battery. Her mind raced with worry. She thought of her grandmother waiting at home, probably wondering where she was. Best. She thought of the night ahead. Cold, dark, and lonely if she didn't find a way to get there. The more she thought, the heavier her chest felt, pricked her eyes, and she quickly brushed them away, unwilling to let fear take over completely. Breaths. She told herself she had to stay calm. She had always been independent, and she could handle situations like this. Usually. But today, it felt different. Just as she was about to sink further into worry, she noticed movement in the distance. A cloud of dust approached, moving steadily along the dirt road. Emma squinted against the setting sun and realized it was a man on horseback. He was tall, with a broad hat that shaded his face from the sunlight. The horse's hooves kicked up small puffs of dust as it walked, calm and steady. Emma's heart skipped a beat. A stranger, but maybe, just maybe he could help. She waved tentatively, unsure if he would even notice her. The man slowed his horse and turned slightly in her direction. Emma swallowed her fear and took a step forward. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice a little shaky. The man tipped his hat slightly, acknowledging her, and Emma felt a small flicker of hope. Her mind raced with possibilities. Should she ask for help? Should she wait and hope the bus would come back? She bit her lip and finally decided she had no other choice. She took a deep breath and stepped closer to the road. "Sir," she said, trying to keep her voice steady, I don't have any other way. Could you give me a ride?" The man looked at her for a long moment, studying her face. Emma felt her stomach tighten. He didn't speak right away. She noticed the lines on his face, weathered from years under the sun. His eyes were calm but observant, the kind of eyes that seemed to notice everything. She wondered if he could tell how scared she really was, how desperate she felt to get home. Finally, he spoke, his voice deep but gentle.
"Where exactly do you need to go?" Emma explained, pointing roughly toward the hills where her grandmother's farm lay hidden among the fields.
The man nodded, slowly. "It's a long way," he said, "and it's almost dark."
"I know," Emma said quickly.
I just I don't have anywhere else to go. Please." The man paused again, then tipped his hat back slightly, revealing a kind smile. "All right," he said. "Hop on. I can take you part of the way." Emma's heart leapt. Relief washed over her in a warm wave. She thanked him quickly, careful not to stumble as she approached the horse. The man helped her up gently, and she settled on the saddle behind him. The horse shifted under her weight, but the man's hand rested lightly on the reins, steadying the animal. As they began to move along the dirt road, Emma felt the tension in her shoulders slowly ease. The rhythm of the horse's steps was almost hypnotic, and for a moment she allowed herself to breathe. She glanced around at the fields stretching in every direction, the sun now low enough to cast long shadows across the landscape. There was a peacefulness here she hadn't expected, a calm that contrasted sharply with the anxiety she had felt just minutes before. The man rode with ease, guiding the horse carefully along the road. Emma noticed the small details around her, the way the wind rustled the leaves of the sparse trees, the smell of dry grass mixed with the faint scent of livestock from nearby farms. She realized that despite the worry and fear, this moment was strangely beautiful. After a few minutes of riding in silence, Emma spoke again, her voice softer this time. I'm Emma," she said. The man nodded. "Jake," he replied. They rode in silence for a while longer, letting the quiet of the countryside fill the space between them. Emma found herself stealing glances at Jake, curious about who he was. There was something reassuring in the way he moved, a calm confidence that made her feel safer than she had in hours. She wondered about his life, what it must be like to spend so much time outdoors, to live close to the land. Finally, she asked, Do you live around here?" Jake chuckled softly. "Yeah. Just over the next hill. I work on my family's ranch." Emma smiled faintly. "It must be peaceful out here," she said. "It has its moments," Jake replied. "Peaceful and hard at the same time." Emma nodded, understanding exactly what he meant.
Life could be both beautiful and difficult, often at the same time. She felt a small connection to this stranger, a shared understanding of how unpredictable life could be.
As they rode, Emma's thoughts wandered. She thought about her grandmother, about the long day she had had traveling, about the frustration and fear that had weighed so heavily on her just moments ago. And she thought about Jake, and how a simple act of kindness, offering her a ride, had changed everything. She realized that sometimes help came from unexpected places, and that trusting a stranger could lead to something good. The sun continued its slow descent, casting golden light over the fields. Emma felt a sense of hope building inside her. Fragile, but real. She knew the road ahead might still be challenging, but for the first time that day, she felt like she could handle it. With Jake guiding the horse and the wind brushing against her face, she allowed herself to relax, to take in the moment, and to be grateful for the unexpected kindness she had been shown. As the dirt road stretched ahead, Emma felt a quiet determination growing inside her. She would get to her grandmother's farm. She would rest, and she would face whatever came next. But more importantly, she carried with her a reminder that even in moments of fear and uncertainty, there were people willing to lend a hand, to offer a ride, and to make life a little bit brighter. And in that moment, riding behind Jake with the horizon glowing before them, Emma realized that this small, simple gesture, this ride, was more than just transportation. It was a lifeline, a reminder that hope could appear when least expected, and that sometimes strangers could become the most important part of a journey. The horse's hooves crunched over the dirt road as Emma and Jake rode quietly through the open fields. The sun had dipped lower, turning the sky into shades of deep orange and soft purple. and the world seemed calm and endless. Emma hugged her backpack closer, still feeling a little nervous but also oddly comforted by Jake's steady presence. He didn't rush, and there was a quiet confidence in the way he guided the horse, as if he belonged here in the wide open space more than anywhere else.
After a while, Emma couldn't help but speak.
She had been silent for so long, watching the countryside pass by, that it felt natural to break the quiet. "It's beautiful here," she said softly, letting her eyes sweep over the hills and fields dotted with grazing cows. Jake glanced back briefly, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "It is," he said. "Most people don't notice it, though. They're usually too busy or in a hurry to see the simple things." Emma thought about that. She had been in such a rush today trying to catch the bus that she hadn't paid attention to much of anything. Now, riding along with Jake, she could see the beauty in the small details. The way the sunlight reflected off the tall grass, the gentle sway of the trees, the sound of birds returning to their nests. There was something peaceful in noticing these things, something that made her worries feel lighter, even if only a little.
After a few minutes of silence, Emma spoke again, this time with a hint of hesitation.
I had a rough day, she admitted. I missed the bus and now I don't know if I'll even get home tonight. Jake nodded, listening carefully. "I understand," he said. "Sometimes life throws things at you when you least expect it. You do your best to keep up, but it doesn't always work out the way you planned." Emma looked at him, surprised at how calmly he spoke. Most people, when they saw her upset, might have rushed to offer advice or try to fix the problem. But Jake didn't. He simply listened. And in that quiet, he felt a strange sense of relief, for the first time today she felt like someone truly understood how she was feeling. "I've been feeling stuck," Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper.
I just finished college and I thought I'd know what to do with my life by now. But I don't.
"I've been trying to find a job, trying to figure out what I want, and nothing seems right. Everything feels heavy." Jake didn't speak immediately. Instead, he guided the horse along a narrow trail that wound through a cluster of trees. The shadows of the branches danced across Emma's face, and she found herself staring at the ground, feeling a little exposed. But there was something comforting about the quiet, the way Jake's presence was steady and unhurried. Finally, he spoke. "It's normal to feel lost sometimes," he said.
Life isn't a straight road. It twists and turns.
"Sometimes you end up in places you never expected, and that's okay. You just have to keep moving forward, even if the path isn't clear." Emma listened closely, letting his words sink in. They weren't dramatic or magical, just simple and honest, but there was a weight to them, a kind of truth that she had been needing to hear. She felt her shoulders relax a little, as if some of the tension she had been carrying had been lifted by his words.
Encouraged by his calm presence, Emma decided to share more. "I left my hometown to try something new," she said.
"I thought getting away would help me figure things out. But now I feel even more unsure."
I thought I'd be stronger than this. Jake chuckled softly.
"Bad. No one is as strong as they think all the time,"
He said.
"Even the people who seem steady and confident have moments where they feel lost. The important thing is to keep going, even when it's hard." She could hear the wisdom in his voice, the kind that came from experience rather than books. She realized he had lived a life of hard work and challenges, and yet he carried himself with patience and quiet confidence. There was something inspiring about that, something that made her feel like maybe she could handle her own challenges after all. For a while, they rode in silence again. Emma watched the shadows grow longer as the sun dipped below the horizon. She could hear the gentle clop of the horses' hooves and the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. It was peaceful, almost meditative, and she felt her thoughts slowing down. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't thinking about everything that could go wrong. She was simply riding, simply existing in this moment, and it felt good. Curious to learn more about the man who had shown her such kindness, Emma asked, "Do you always live out here?"
On the ranch?
Jake nodded. "Most of my life, yeah. My family has had this land for generations. I work with the animals, fix fences, take care of the fields. It's a simple life, but it has its rewards." Emma imagined it. She thought about the early mornings, the hard work, and the quiet nights under the stars. It sounded challenging, but honest, liberation. She liked the idea of a life so connected to nature, so grounded in real work. "It must be peaceful," she said softly. "It has its moments," Jake replied. "Peaceful when the work is done, and challenging when there's too much to do. But you learn to find balance. You learn to take things one step at a time." Emma nodded, thinking about how that idea applied to her own life. Maybe she had been trying to rush through things, trying to have all the answers at once. But perhaps she needed to take life one step at a time, just as Jake suggested. Encouraged, she began to share more about herself. She talked about her college years, the friends she had made, and the challenges she had faced. She spoke about her family, about the expectations and pressures she felt, and about the uncertainty that weighed heavily on her. With every word, she felt a little lighter, as if sharing her thoughts with Jake was helping her make sense of them. Jake listened without interrupting, offering only a nod or a quiet word of understanding. Sometimes he asked gentle questions that encouraged her to think more deeply, but he never judged or dismissed her feelings. Emma found herself opening up more than she had expected, surprised at how comfortable she felt with a stranger she had just met. At one point, Emma looked around at the fading light and sighed. "I don't even know if I'm ready to face my grandmother yet," she admitted. "I feel like I'm still figuring myself out." Jake glanced back at her, his eyes kind. "You don't have to have it all figured out," he said. Nobody does. Life isn't about having all the answers. It's about learning, growing, and taking each day as it comes. Sometimes the people who seem the most confident are still figuring things out themselves. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. His words were simple, but they carried a kind of reassurance she hadn't felt in a long time. She realized that maybe she didn't need to have everything figured out right now. Maybe it was okay to be unsure, as long as she kept moving forward and learning along the way. Pest. As the sky grew darker, Emma noticed the first stars appearing above the hills. The world seemed calm, vast, and full of possibilities. She felt a quiet excitement. A hope that she hadn't felt earlier in the day. Riding with Jake, talking about life, and seeing the beauty around her had reminded her that even when things felt uncertain, there was still goodness and kindness in the world. Finally, she spoke again, her voice soft but steady.
"Thank you," she said, "for listening and for this ride."
"But I know it's not much, but it means a lot to me." Jake smiled, his eyes reflecting the last light of the setting sun. "Sometimes that's all people need," he said. "A little kindness, a little patience, and someone who's willing to listen. That's more valuable than anything else." Emma nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude she couldn't quite put into words. She realized that this ride, this unexpected encounter, had given her more than just transportation. It had given her perspective, a sense of hope, and the courage to face the challenges ahead. The horse continued along the road, steady and calm as they moved further from the town and deeper into the countryside. Emma's thoughts wandered, but this time they were lighter, filled with possibilities rather than worries. She thought about her grandmother, about the journey ahead, and about the small acts of kindness that could change someone's day, or even their life. By the time they reached a small clearing near a stream, the sky was dark but clear, and the stars twinkled above like tiny diamonds.
Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her, a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time.
She realized that even in moments of fear and uncertainty, there were people willing to help, willing to share their time and wisdom, and willing to make life a little brighter. As they paused to let the horse drink from the stream, Emma looked at Jake and felt a genuine sense of connection. She didn't know him well, but she felt that he understood something important about life, something she was beginning to understand herself. She felt a quiet determination to keep moving forward, to embrace life one step at a time, and to be open to the kindness of others along the way. And in that moment, surrounded by the peaceful countryside and the quiet sounds of nature, Emma realized that this ride was more than just a journey to her grandmother's farm. It was a journey toward understanding, growth, and hope. A reminder that even in the hardest moments there was beauty, kindness, and guidance waiting to be found. The sky had turned a deep shade of blue by the time Emma and Jake reached the edge of a quiet clearing. The stars were beginning to peek through the fading light, twinkling faintly above the rolling hills. The air was cool now, carrying the faint smell of wildflowers and damp earth from the nearby stream. Jake slowed the horse to a gentle walk, guiding it carefully down a narrow path that led to a small riverside clearing he seemed to know well. The river was calm, reflecting the starlight like a mirror. The sound of the water trickling over smooth stones was soothing, almost meditative. She could hear crickets chirping softly in the background, and the occasional rustle of leaves as a gentle breeze passed through. For the first time since the day had begun, she felt completely at peace. Jake stopped the horse near the riverbank. He dismounted gracefully and held out a hand to help Emma down. "Careful," he said, his voice calm and steady. Emma accepted the hand, feeling a small thrill of warmth from his kindness. Her feet touched the ground and she took a moment to steady herself. The cool evening air brushed against her face, and she could feel the tension she had carried all day slowly melting away. The horse wandered over to drink from the river, while Emma and Jake stood side by side, looking at the water. Emma's mind was still swirling with thoughts of the day, of how her life had felt so heavy and uncertain just a few hours ago. And yet here she was, in a quiet, magical place, guided by a man who had appeared like an answer to a silent prayer. After a pause, Emma spoke softly. "This is beautiful. I've never seen anything like this." Jake smiled, watching the river reflect the starlight. "Peaceful," he said. "I come here often when I need to think." Breath. "It reminds me that even when life gets complicated, there's still calm and clarity to be found."
Emma nodded, her eyes tracing the movement of the water. She felt a strange mixture of awe and gratitude.
"I wish I could feel that all the time," she admitted. "Sometimes I feel like my life is just chaos, and I don't know how to fix it." Jake looked at her for a long moment, as if choosing his words carefully.
"Life isn't about fixing everything," he said gently. "It's about learning to navigate it, to find meaning in the small moments, and to hold on to the things that matter most."
Sometimes the right guidance can come from unexpected places.
Emma turned to him, curiosity and a hint of hope in her eyes.
Breath. "Guidance?" she asked softly. Jake reached into the side of his saddlebag and pulled out a small, worn journal. The cover was leather, slightly cracked from use, and it had the faint scent of hay and earth.
He handed it to her carefully.
"I keep this journal for myself," he said. "It has lessons I've learned, thoughts I wanted to remember, and advice I hope I can pass on to someone who might need it. I want you to have it." Emma's hands trembled slightly as she accepted the journal. She opened it slowly, flipping through pages filled with neat handwriting, small sketches of the countryside, and short, thoughtful reflections. Each page seemed to carry a piece of Jake's life and his experiences. She felt a lump in her throat as she realized the depth of trust and generosity in what he was doing.
You
want me to have this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper.
Jake nodded.
"I do," he said. "Some things are worth more than a ride. Some things are lessons you carry with you. If it helps you even a little, then it's worth sharing." First, Emma looked down at the journal, feeling a mix of emotions: gratitude, humility, and a sense of wonder. She couldn't believe that a stranger, someone she had only just met, would offer something so personal and meaningful. She felt an overwhelming sense of respect for him and a quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this journal could help her find direction in her own life. For a moment, Emma didn't speak. Breath. She just held the journal close, letting the weight of the gesture sink in. She realized that this moment, this act of kindness, was far more valuable than any physical help she could have received. Breath. It was a gift of wisdom, guidance, and belief in her potential. A reminder that even when life felt uncertain, there were people who cared and who were willing to offer support. Finally, she looked up at Jake, her eyes shining.
Thank you, she said, her voice steady now. I don't know what to say.
"This means so much to me." Jake smiled softly. "You don't have to say anything," he replied. "Just promise me you'll use it well. Barash. Grow. Cough. And remember that life has a way of guiding you, even when you don't realize it."
Emma nodded, feeling a sense of determination rising within her.
She realized that she had a choice in this moment, not just about accepting the journal, but about how she would move forward in her life. Breaths. She could cling to fear and uncertainty, or she could embrace this gift, trust the lessons within, and take steps toward the person she wanted to become. The river continued to flow quietly beside them, and the stars twinkled above like tiny lanterns in the night sky. Emma felt a deep sense of connection, not just to Jake, but to the world around her. She realized that kindness, wisdom, and patience could come from unexpected sources, and that sometimes the simplest gestures could carry the greatest meaning. After a while, Jake spoke again. Breath. "We should head back soon. The night is dark, and the roads can be tricky. But remember, the journey doesn't end with this ride. It's just beginning." This journal, it's a map of sorts. Not for roads, but for life. But use it wisely.
Emma held the journal tightly, feeling a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in months.
"I will," she said firmly. "I promise." They began the ride back slowly, the horse's steps soft against the dirt. Emma felt the journal pressed against her chest, a tangible reminder of the lessons and guidance Jake had shared. The night was quiet around them, the only sounds the occasional chirp of crickets and the gentle rustling of leaves, a serene contrast to the chaos and uncertainty she had felt earlier in the day. As they rode, Emma found herself reflecting on the day's events, the missed bus, the worry, the fear, and now this unexpected connection with a kind stranger. She realized that life had a way of surprising her, of offering help when she least expected it. And in that realization, she felt a newfound sense of courage and hope. Jake remained quiet for much of the ride, letting Emma think and absorb her thoughts. Occasionally, he would glance back at her and offer a reassuring smile. It was a gentle reminder that she was not alone, that even in moments of uncertainty, there were people willing to guide and support her.
At one point, Emma spoke again, her voice thoughtful.
Do you ever feel like you're still figuring things out too? Jake chuckled softly. Every day,
he admitted.
No one really has it all figured out. The key is to keep learning, keep moving, and to appreciate the journey, not just the destination. Emma smiled, feeling a sense of relief. She realized that it was okay not to have all the answers, that growth and understanding came gradually. And she knew that with the journal and Jake's guidance, she could take those steps with confidence. By the time they reached the outskirts of town, the moon was high in the sky, casting a soft silver glow over the fields. Emma felt a mixture of gratitude, determination, and calm. She knew that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but she felt ready to face it. The journal was not just a book. It was a symbol of trust, guidance, and the belief that she could navigate her life with purpose. As they dismounted near the road that led to her grandmother's farm, Emma turned to Jake.
"Thank you," she said once more, her voice full of sincerity.
Rye.
"I will never forget this. Not the ride."
And not what you've shared with me. Jake tipped his hat. A smile warmed. Just remember, he said, kindness and guidance are always around if you're willing to accept them. And sometimes the simplest gestures can change a life. Emma nodded, feeling a quiet determination to honor the gift she had been given. She knew that the lessons in the journal were hers to carry, to learn from, and to use to navigate the challenges of her own life. But in that moment, she realized that this ride, this encounter, and this quiet riverside clearing had given her something truly priceless: hope, wisdom, and the courage to move forward. With a final glance at Jake, she turned and began walking toward the path that would take her home. The journal pressed to her chest. She felt a sense of strength she hadn't felt in a long time. Inspiration. The night was calm, the stars shining above. And for the first time in months, Emma felt ready for whatever the future held. The moon hung high in the night sky, casting a soft silver glow over the fields, as Emma followed the dirt road toward her grandmother's farm. The journal pressed tightly against her chest, felt heavier than it actually was, filled not with weight, but with hope, guidance, and wisdom. Every step she took felt different from earlier in the day. Earlier she had been anxious, uncertain, and frightened. Now she felt a sense of purpose, quiet determination and courage she hadn't known she possessed. Behind her, the horse and Jake's figure slowly faded into the distance. She didn't need him anymore, not because she didn't trust him, but because she had been given something far more valuable than a ride. She had been given the knowledge that life's small gestures, its kindness, and its quiet lessons could transform a moment or even a life. She felt grateful, and with gratitude came a renewed energy she hadn't expected. As Emma walked along the familiar path, memories of the day swirled in her mind. She remembered the panic when she had missed the bus, the loneliness at the quiet bus stop, and the moment she first saw Jake riding toward her. She remembered the way his calm presence had reassured her, the way he had listened without judgment, and the way he had offered his journal with such trust. Each memory was vivid, and each one reminded her that life had unexpected turns, but some of them could lead to blessings. She reached the edge of the farm and saw the warm glow of light spilling from the windows of her grandmother's house. The sight made her heart swell with both relief and excitement. Her grandmother, a kind woman with gentle eyes and a ready smile, would be waiting for her, probably a little worried, but always ready to embrace her. Emma's pace quickened as she approached the front porch. She could hear the faint sound of her grandmother humming softly, a tune Emma remembered from childhood. When she reached the porch, she paused for a moment, taking a deep breath. The events of the day had left her changed, calmer, wiser, and more confident in herself. She climbed the steps and gently knocked on the door. Almost immediately it swung open, and her grandmother's warm face appeared. "Emma, there you are!"
I was starting to worry.
her grandmother exclaimed, wrapping her arms around her. Emma hugged her tightly, feeling a wave of comfort and safety. But I missed the bus, she admitted softly, but I had some help. And something important happened today that I want to share with you. Breaths. Her grandmother smiled knowingly. Oh? And what would that be? Emma opened a journal and handed it to her grandmother. A kind man helped me today. He gave me this. It's a journal, but it's so much more than that. It has lessons, guidance, and advice. He said it's not about having everything figured out, but about learning and growing along the way.
Her grandmother took the journal gently, flipping through a few pages.
This is wonderful, Emma. What a kind man. Respect. And it seems like he also reminded you of something important. That life is a journey, and even small gestures can carry great meaning. Yes, exactly. And I feel, Britt, now. I feel stronger, like I can handle things, and like I have the courage to face what's ahead. I've been so unsure about my life lately, but now I feel like I have direction, at least a little bit. I feel ready to try again. Dense. Her grandmother's eyes shone with pride. That's exactly what you needed, my dear. Sometimes we just need a little guidance, a little reminder, and the courage to move forward. And it sounds like you found both today. Emma smiled, feeling a warm glow in her chest. She realized that Jake's gift had not only helped her in the moment, but it also prepared her for the challenges that lay ahead. She understood now that kindness could be transformative, and that trusting someone's guidance, even a stranger's, could lead to growth and self-discovery. Later that night, after a simple dinner and warm conversation with her grandmother, Emma sat by the window with the journal open on her lap. She read through the pages carefully, absorbing every word, every lesson. She realized that this journal was not just advice. It was a roadmap to understanding herself, to finding her strength, and to embracing the journey of life with hope and resilience. As the night grew deeper, Emma reflected on how much she had learned in just one day. She thought about the fear and anxiety she had felt earlier, the uncertainty of missing the bus, and the overwhelming sense of loneliness that had pressed on her chest. And she thought about Jake, his calm voice, his patient listening, and the way he had shared his wisdom without expecting anything in return. She realized that some people had the ability to touch lives in quiet, unassuming ways, and that their impact could last far beyond a single moment. The journal became her companion, a source of encouragement and reflection. Emma decided that she would use it every day, writing her thoughts, her hopes, and her dreams, and reflecting on the lessons she had learned. She knew that life would not always be easy, and that there would be challenges ahead. But now she had tools to help her navigate those challenges: patience, courage, and the knowledge that even small acts of kindness could change everything. The next morning, Emma awoke to the soft light of dawn streaming through the window. The farm was quiet, the only sounds the distant crowing of a rooster and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. She sat up in bed, feeling a sense of purpose and determination. Today would be a new day, a fresh start. She would begin taking steps toward her goals, reconnecting with her family, and finding her place in the world. And she knew she would carry Jake's gift with her always, a reminder that life's challenges could be faced with courage and hope. After breakfast, Emma helped her grandmother with the morning chores, feeling a renewed connection to her family and her roots. She shared stories from her journey, the encounter with Jake, and the lessons she had learned. Her grandmother listened attentively, nodding and smiling, proud of the growth she saw in Emma. Later, Emma decided to take a walk along the familiar paths of the farm, journal in hand. She found a quiet spot under a large oak tree, opened the pages, and began writing. She wrote about her fears, her dreams, and the guidance she had received. She wrote about the beauty of the countryside, the kindness of a stranger, and the hope she felt for the future. Each word felt like a step forward, a way of turning her thoughts into action and understanding. As the days passed, Emma began to see changes in herself. She felt more confident in her decisions, more willing to take risks, and more patient with herself. The journal became a tool for reflection and growth, a source of strength when doubts crept in. And though she never saw Jake again, his presence lingered in her heart, a reminder that even strangers could leave lasting impacts through simple acts of kindness and guidance. One afternoon, as Emma walked along the edge of the farm, she noticed a young traveler struggling with a broken bicycle by the side of the road. She remembered her own day of worry, fear, and uncertainty, and she knew exactly what to do. She walked over, offered a kind smile, and helped the traveler fix the bicycle. She gave them encouragement and advice, sharing a bit of her own journey. In that moment, Emma realized that Jake's gift had come full circle. She was now in a position to pass on kindness, guidance, and hope, just as she had received it. The sun set behind the hills, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, and Emma felt a deep sense of gratitude. She knew that life would continue to bring challenges and uncertainties, but she also knew that she had the tools, the courage, and the wisdom to face them. The journey she had begun that day, the missed bus, the encounter with a kind cowboy, the journal, and the quiet riverside had taught her more than she could have imagined. Emma smiled as she closed the journal and looked out over the farm, for she realized that true guidance and support could come in many forms, through words, gestures, or simply someone willing to listen.
And she knew that even the smallest acts of kindness could leave a lasting impact on someone's life.
She felt ready to embrace her future, confident in her ability to navigate life's twists and turns with courage, hope, and gratitude.
As night fell over the farm, Emma went inside to her grandmother's cozy home, carrying the lessons of the day and the gift of the journal close to her heart.
She understood now that life was a journey filled with challenges, learning, and growth, and that even a single act of kindness could change everything. And as she drifted off to sleep that night, she felt a quiet peace, knowing that she had been given something truly priceless, a reminder that hope, guidance, and courage could be found in the most unexpected places.